Shin Lamed Gimel. Shin
Good, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna
One second.
share
Choshen Mishpat.
there. That way, in case anybody wants to also go around. Okay, here we go.
Let me just see. Okay, we're doing Shin Lamed Gimel.
Yes, I think first we'll go through the
Aleph Beis Gimel Daled, and we do Hey Vav Zayin Ches.
yeah.
Okay,
So
but
so we can start with the Sikumim, and then we'll
okay,
continue in the Shulchan Aruch the rest
yeah,
of it.
this will give us a little bit of an
Yeah, like
idea.
just to get an overview. Especially, he also brings machrenim and things that are not mentioned in V'cholu. So it'll give us a good.
It's good if
And
we if we have the
and he connects it also to to
the
modern.
source. Does he have? I hope he has the I hope he has I hope he has Man McCamus.
They have modern McCamus in there.
One second. Shin Lamed Gimel. This is Shin. Asoicher is Apeyanim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be page 17 in the Sikumim.
Hold on a second, please. Shin Yud Gimel, Shin Yud Beis, Shin Yud Daled, Shin Yud Beis, and Shin Yud Daled. Okay. So then, okay, we're doing Shin Lamed Gimel now.
Yeah, we'll start in the Sikum in the Sikumim booklet.
Yeah, I'm mocked by Gemara.
Yeah. Okay. You want to read? I'll read.
Whatever, this I'm okay with. You read, yeah.
You're talking about Yaksa Ev the Ma'vid Bitul Yavsakas Chirus, right? So the relationship between the employers and employees. So what happens when somebody cancels or stops either employing or being employed? Okay, from Aleph to Dalet. So
Masik shemebatel es haschum. Haschidus masik means what? A businessman?
an employer.
Employer.
Yeah, that he's mevatel the heskim, right? That they made an agreement of schirus, right, with the player, with the worker. So this is going to be see from Aleph and base when we get inside the Mokin and Gemara. Ba Gemara Masech is Bava Metzia. It's Daf Ayin Vav Siv Daf Amud base. So it brings a braise. Haseicher
Yeah.
umonim. Right? Somebody he hires workers, lasis le melacha. Vehitu as balabayis, and they and the
They tricked him, no?
yeah, they tricked him. Shaloi ba'u lasis melacha, meaning they didn't show up. They didn't show up to come to work. Or alternatively, balabayis hita isam. Or the balabayis tricked them.
I don't need you.
That he tells them it's Shabbat Seif and he's gam. Oh no, you know what? I realize I don't need you. Ein lohem ze al ze.
Ela tarumas.
Meaning they have basically only displeasure with each other.
That's
That's what
it.
they have. I mean,
Yes.
right?
It's a famous bride for this, no?
Al kach shetzrichim kreis limtzi avoda acheres eipelam acherim, right? Meaning, if the balabos was the one who's tricked, he's upset that now he has to find other workers. If the workers were tricked, now they have to find other work. So this is why they're upset. Avol ein kan to be a momentus, but there is no financial claim here. Why? Kivan sheheskim aschiris hayorak b'dvarim be'olma, says Rashi on the Gemara there. That since it was b'dvarim be'olma, and b'dvarim be'olma, you don't close a deal. There's no deal without money, right? I'm sorry, without a kinyan money something. So there was no deal. So Taka, you can say maybe so for sure. There's a question of what is it? Ruach Chachamim L'naicha Bey, right? That the sages are not happy with this kind of thing. Somebody doesn't keep his word. Maybe you could even say that he's a non-trustable person, right? You can say he's a right. He's mimchusri amona, maybe. But the bottom line is, there's no financial claim here. Habraisa meisifa. The Braisa continues. Bamedvar vamurim. When do we say this? Sheloi holchu. That they did not start going already. Right. So in the parentheses, mashamanu sheyesh lapeil rak tareim is al balabayis. Who b'mikre sheloi holchu adayin lasem alocha. So this that we said that there's no monetary claim. Right. Is dafka when they didn't already go to the work. He canceled before they went. Avol holchu chamarim, right? But the donkey drivers, they went, which is pelim shemivilim chamiri masa, right? The workers that they carry goods with the donkeys, right? They transport donkeys that carry goods. The loy matzu tvua, and they didn't find the produce, right? Shamurim hayu leivil avorai that they were supposed to transport for him, or payalim, right? If they saw the workers that work in the field, umatzu sadeh kishoyalacha, that they found that the field is wet, so they need to lavid ba that you can't work in it. Neisen lahem scharam mishalim. So he has to pay them their full wage. Avol eini deme abaton. However, it's not going to be the same. Somebody who comes who already loaded, or if he's coming without having loaded it, meaning tirchase shel chamor shechezer im masa eino ketirchase shel chamor hachezer lei masa. The effort, right, that was put in, the exertion that was put in, the trouble that the one who loaded it went through is not the same. Like somebody, he came there, but he never loaded it. Right? And similarly, it's also not the same, the tircha of someone who actually did the work versus somebody who showed up to do the work and didn't have to actually do the work. Not the same tircha, one who actually worked the field or one that just came there and there was no work. V'hainu, meaning Shabalabayis ain't mechuyev losis lepelim schar ki ilu avdu. Elo schar kepeil batel. So he doesn't have to pay them the amount that you would have paid somebody who worked. Rather, he has to pay them like somebody who sat and didn't work. Shemarichim, right? We make a cheshbon. Kama hayeretze hapeil lahafris mischari v'lasheves batel leiter chaveda. If I were to tell you, right? I'll tell you what. You're here to work. How much would you make it less for me if I'll still pay you, but you don't have to do any work? And that amount is the amount that we have to estimate and we'll have to pay him. That we have to be mighty. We have to figure out. So that's the Gemara and the Braise. So now we go into the Shulchan Aruch, the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch. Loshna Rambam and Shulchan Aruch. Kosu Rambam and Shulchan Aruch. Haseicher is hapeyolim v'hito is a balabayis. Right? Somebody he hires workers and they tricked him. Oy balabayis hito isam, or he tricked them. Ein mohem ze al ze el taremis. They don't have besides for they don't have against each other besides for they have a complaint. That's what they have. They're not very happy with each other, but they don't have a monetary claim. But medvar mamurim, when we say this, b'sheloi holchu, when they didn't go, he told them before they went. Aval holchu hachamar v'lei matzu tavua peyal mumatzu sadik sheyal elacha oy shesicharim lahashki sasode u'mitzaush nismal mayim. So either, like we said before, the donkey drivers came and there was nothing for them to pick up, or they came to the field and it was wet and you can't work it, or they came to water the field and they found that it was full of water already. So then it depends. Im bikir balabayis melachta miba'erev u'motzat yitzricha payolim. If the balabas he went and checked out the work and he taka needed them, and then between yesterday and today something changed. It rained, it flooded, there was a water main break, whatever it is, you know. Somebody stole the produce that they were supposed to pick up. The house they were supposed to work on fell down. You know, the viola. So, Ein la payolim klum. The payolim do not have anything. Umabi odi lasis. What was he supposed to do? He did his due diligence. So Ein chayv l'sham la payolim klal. Shari osa samutal olav. V'lo yehoya be'efsharusa ilo das shelo b'seif lo yizdake im melacha. He checked it. He needed, but when he checked it, it was needed. And now something happened. It wasn't in his control. What's he supposed to do? So then he does not need to pay them. V'im loy biker, if he did not visit, and then he did not stop by to make sure first, now it's his fault. So Nesin lahem scharim kepel batul. So he has to pay them, but he doesn't have to pay them because they didn't actually exert themselves. It's just they're losing out work. So he pays them like a pale batul, like someone who like a lesser amount based on what a person would agree to sit and not do anything for a lower amount. Why? Because the going of the workers is already considered the beginning of work. And he had to already tell them. I think it's a mistake here. It should say he should have notified them before they left, before they went on their way, that he does not need them anymore. Because like we said before, that the guy who had to load the donkeys and the guy who didn't have to load the donkeys is not the same amount of work. It's a lower amount they get. The same thing. Somebody who actually had to do the work versus somebody who was batal, who just sat there doing nothing. It's not the same amount. So that's the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch. So now, im abalabayis shehitas apelim elehevach nechshem mechusar amana. So now we have the question. So there's no question if he tricked them that for sure ruach chachamim ein nechebe. This we know, right? Anybody who doesn't keep his word, we know it. We know that ruach chachamim ein nechebe. They're the sages that were not happy with such a person. However, is he considered mechusar amana? Is he meaning, and there's nafka minas a mechusar amana, because a mechusar amana is the type of person that people won't do business with. and there's a question. His his edus could be questionable, and his word could be questionable, and people don't trust him. So atur behevius din anal she'ein lohem ze al ze el taremis. So right when he said that the only thing they have against each other is dissatisfaction, the Tur said kosav she'ezem mehem shebo lachzor harishus biyodi, that whoever wants to renege, being that ein lahem zel zel taremis, whoever wants to and go back on his word, he can go back in this thing. He's allowed to. Hasme kosav shemashma medivri atur shachazer by einu nechshav afilu mechusri amona. Meaning, based on he says that ezem mehem shebolachzor harishus biyodei. So it's mashma from this that he's not even considered a mechusar amona. He's not considered an untrustworthy person from doing this. Right? We have when we were talking about a no, right? And Gnevas Das and all this, and he knows Dvarim. So we had that case, right, with the buyer and seller, that he goes back on his word. But why? Because the price of the item changed since we spoke. And in that case, we say he's not considered a mechusar amona, which we learned in the last Zman, right, in 204. Omnam hasmeh haisif, but the smeh adds shebesimin reish dalid matzinu machlekes rishonim v'achreinim b'inyan zeh. Even though the Tur holds this way, but we find it's a machlekes rishonim and achreinim. Kefish lamadnu b'shir 8, like we learned in session 8. The im kain lidas hasevrim shachizbei. So it'll depend. Those who hold in that case of the price went up and down, so he changed his mind. Those who hold there he's a mechusar amona will hold also here the same thing. Those who hold there that he's not mechusar amona will hold here the same thing, right? So im kain lidas hasevrim shachizbei mach mashir b'mechir shel hameitzer nechsha mechusar amona. Gam benidun didan. So also in our case, lechatchila asur lebalabayis oila pelam lachser b'hem mashlichus. Right? B'achezer b'hin nechsha mechusar amona. Lefize masha amru she'ein lahem zel zel taremis. So what does he mean? So wait a second. What do you mean he's a mechusar amona? So you just told me the only thing they have against each other is taremis, is dissatisfaction. He doesn't mean to exclude mechusar amona. He's just taremis means just to exclude a financial obligation. He doesn't have to compensate financially. But in the first place, it's asur. Okay, so that's the conversation of the mechusar amona. Yesh emrim shemeshichas yanochas kli aveda nechsheves kikinyan ala schirus. Right, so some say that dragging, meaning if the balabos will drag or lift the tools of the worker, it's considered a kinyan. Haramal kosaf sheyesh emrim shehadin she'ein lehem zel zel taremis. Right? Why? What was the whole reason they have only taremis? Because there's no mecher b'dvarim. Right? It's dvarim ba'alma, and there's no kinyan. Right? Because you remember the stages. The stages was, so if he goes back on his word, if he had a reason to, then it's just ruach hacham meinin eichabe. If he's not allowed to and he goes back on his word, then he's mechusar amona, even though he doesn't have any financial obligation. If he paid money and did not make it a kinyan, then he gets what do they call it? What do they call it? A mishapora. Remember the mishapora?
I was just going to say that actually. Yeah.
So here he doesn't mention the mishapara, but mistame, if he gave the guy money, right? Think about it. If he gave the guy money, but he never made a kinyan, he would get a mishapara.
By the way, it was my first time learning the concept.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe some of us. You're on mute, huh?
I haven't heard nowadays of a Mishpat. I don't think it's something that's
I
done
heard
now.
a Mishpat you get, and not a Mishpat.
Yeah, you want to know something? I've seen a Misha Berach like that costs more than the Misha Para. So
Today you got to be careful with some Mishpat.
Hold on a second.
Berach
He
costs
gave him the
more.
money. He gave him the money, but he did not. In other words, the balabos gave the workers the money.
Well, let's say he didn't give them all the money. Let's say he gave them
No, he gave them money to do. We spoke about this just to perform the
some money.
kinyan, a shovel pruta to
Yeah,
perform the kinyan. And instead of doing the kinyan, I'm going to tell you something.
right now
If
he doesn't mention that here, but lechura it would go here exactly like a mecher, same thing.
so
He
listen
gave
to
that
this.
and not a no king. He would get a Mishpat.
In Nachten by Nacht, met Gendig Zvachim. We finished Zvachim yesterday. So I gave shir, and I didn't do a siyum but I finished it for them. I did not have in zin and not to anyway. So I said it. The Alter Rebbe's Yortzeit. So I took up some mashke and why didn't we have a proper suda? Met bestelt, ain't bestelt und batzolt. But the guy forgot. Can you imagine? He forgot. He took the money, but he forgot.
But he forgot to get the stuff.
So it's already 9:45. Already we finished the at vergessen. I'm just saying. Sometimes you take the money, you forget to do the kinyan. It doesn't have to be that he did it bedafka. Vergessen, nicht getan the kinyan. How
Right.
does a person get money, get paid, and forget to do a platter? Beats me. I have no idea how that works, but it happens. It's
Yeah, right. At least if it wasn't bekavana.
was not bekavan never. And so over here, he took the money. We're talking about when the balabos gave money to the workers, right? He
Yeah.
gave money to the workers, the head of the workers, to the company to do the work, and he did not do the kinyan, and therefore he was under no obligations to do it. But you apply on him mishapora. That's what you're saying. That's basically it.
Because that's the rule. That's the rule. I mean, I gave you money, but I didn't make a kinyan.
So he's under no obligation, monetary obligation.
Mishapara. Meaning, yeah, you can get out of it, but you get a mishapara. But a
Wow.
mishapara means not a simple thing. That's even worse than it's even worse from a mechus ramona.
Mishapara, basically, you're saying Mishapara, it's like a curse, no? It's like a curse.
Yeah, but it's also but with it carries also. It's not just that it's a curse. I mean, as if that's not bad enough, it includes in it also that you're automatically a mechus ramona also. Somebody who receives a mishapara, it's a person who's going to do business with somebody who got a mishapara.
So he has like a stigma on him.
Right. It's a mechus ramona also. What's the whole thing of mechus ramona? A mechus ramona has a stigma. A mishapara has a stigma and a curse. So he doesn't specifically mention mishapara here, but it seems bichlal he's aligning this in every which way till mecher. So I would have to imagine that the same thing would be here. If it was a kesef b'leikinyan, it would get a mishapara. But here he was just talking about so far of just he went back on his word. There was no kesef, so therefore there's no mishapara. It's only a question of mechus ramona or not. But so the question is, becomes by mechus ramona, is it always? Or is it only when I went out of my word with no just cause? So according to some Rishonim and Achreinim hold that always, and some hold
Even
only,
the just cause is no good.
Right, some hold even because the price went up and down. So the same would be here. The same would be here. If I'm going out of it with no just cause, everybody would agree that he's mechus ramon. If he has a just cause, those who held over there that he's still mechus ramon would hold here also, And those who hold there no would hold here no. So now we talk about Imeda Kinyan. The Ramah writes, which we know, if you made a Kinyan, it's done deal. So, but the question is, right? Shadin she'ein lahem elzel taremis ein kelim mikra shebei balabais mashach es klei avedish lapayil. If the balabais did meshicha on the tools of the worker, why shekain b'mikra shemeshach es kelov oisha peli niach es kelov b'chatzei balabais, right? Also, the Taz brings down why because then the reshus of the balabais is kaina.
Yeah, it's called Kinyan Chotzer.
Yeah. So if it's a kinyan chotzer or meshicha, harizu pe'ula shel kinyan ala schiris diramo. This is a kinyan. Well, acher mikein enyam yichelim lachsu ben me'aschirus. And now they can't. Both of them can't go back. It's a kinyan. The two of you made a kinyan now. V'hainu shebalabais en yochel lachsu bei v'chein apayel en yochel lachsu bei im avid de kablonis. If he's working as a kablon, he's working as a contractor, meaning that he's taking money for the job rather than by the hour. We'll see soon why by the hour is different. Which she explains what's a kablon, like we learned before, that he gets a set amount for doing a certain amount of a certain amount of work that was set before, as opposed to by the hour. But if the worker it works by the hour, he can go back, he can quit. Like we're going to learn why later. Right? So when there was a Meshicha or a Kinyan Chotzer, the Balabais cannot go back on it, and a Kablin cannot go back on it. A Schir Yahim can go back on it. Even if not just from before, even it was an 8-hour day that they made a Kinyan on, and he worked 2 hours, he can get out of it. We'll see soon. So now on the top of page 19. So if they now are not able to find other work, other equivalent work, well, we'll see what happens if they can find work, but it's not equivalent. If they cannot find other work, then he has to pay them. But like we said before, it's different. Somebody who had to do the work or somebody who just gets paid to sit there. So he has to pay them like a pale butter, like someone who's just sitting there. Haramban v'harashba kosvu shadin she'ein la peilim balabayis elataremis kol zman sheli holchu adayin lasem malacha. So they write that this halacha that the workers cannot, the only thing they have is dissatisfaction with him. They don't have any monetary claim, so long as they didn't go to work already. It's dafka in a case where they could find other work. But now, because of his tricking them, it's already in this area or in their line of work. You have to schedule 3 days in advance. Now they can't find other work. So he has to pay them, not the full amount, because they don't actually have to work. They're just gonna get paid. They're gonna get paid COVID pay, right? They'll get paid to sit at home. So yeah, but he has to pay them that at least. And so the Shulchan Aruch writes in Siv Beis, when do we say that the only thing they have with him is dissatisfaction in a case where they did not go yet? Specifically,
when yesterday
they would have been able to, right? So it's two things. There has to be that when he hired them, they could have found work, and there has to be that now they can't. Right? Because let's say now they can't find work. But also yesterday when he hired them, they wouldn't have been able to find work. So then, okay, so there's no loss then. There's no monetary loss.
Right? They could have.
Same thing if when he hired them, they could find work, and now they still could find work. Still, there's no monetary loss. I mean, yeah, they have the minor trouble. They have to run back to the market and find another guy who needs it, but they didn't lose anything. אבל אם היו נסחרים אמש, ועכשיו אינם נסחרים כלל, if yesterday they would have been able to get hired, but now they can't get hired, so now they're taking a loss. This is like a thing that they're losing. V'chayev medina degarmi, right? He's chayev because of even though it's an indirect cause. Hainu shegoram lahem nezek mamashi. He caused them actual damages. She'omnam eina mamish yoshir, even though it's not mamish direct damage. Achadayin mechuyev l'ftzeisam. He still has to compensate them. V'noisin lahem scharam kepel batel. But like we said before, somebody who has to work versus somebody getting paid to sit there. Somebody sitting there is willing to take less money, so he only has to pay them because he's paying them these COVID money to sit home. So he doesn't have to pay them as if they mamish worked, but he pays them whatever that assessed amount is that a person is willing to would rather get paid the lesser amount and not have to do anything. Now, what happens if they could get work, but not the same quality of work? What if they can they can find work, but it's not going to pay as much? So now, because he tricked them, they're going to make less today. So mishalim hapechis, they paid the difference. The balabas is going to pay them. He was hiring them for 15, and all these rules apply. Meaning, this is assuming that yesterday they would have been able to get hired for 15 by somebody else. So yesterday he comes, he finds them, $15. I'll pay you $15 to do this. Fine, good. And they could have gone to somebody else also, but they went with him. Now today they could get a job, but they could only get 10. So now he has to pay them 5.
It's obvious that today they're going to get less because they're more desperate, or whatever. That could be a reason, or it doesn't have to be that reason.
Yeah, or it could be yesterday was market day.
Yeah, for whatever reason it is. Yeah.
All the deals happen now. The deals don't happen right now, or they're at his farm now. When they met him, it was in a business area, something like this. That they could have. Yeah, for whatever reason. The Shulchan Aruch asks, I have a question here. We say that he has to pay the difference, but is that capped? Is that capped at the pale bottle amount? Meaning, what if they could get different work, but it's going to pay them like a pale bottle, which is all he had to pay them was like a pale bottle. So does he have to pay them the difference between their work today and the full labor, or does he have to pay them the difference between their work today and the pale bottle amount? I would assume the pale bottle amount, because otherwise, why pay them the? Anyway, Shulchan Aruch Chesif, the Shulchan Aruch adds, "V'im halchu." However, if they went already, they went by themselves to start the work already. Right? And let me just see this. What's the note here? Right? That's why it says ba'atzmam. Meaning if they send somebody else, that's not called hitchilas hamalacha, only if they themselves went. Even if they would not have been able to find yesterday work, This is only if they can't find any work. But if they could find the same work now, then all they have is dissatisfaction. Why? Because there's been no monetary damage. You could find other work for the same amount. So if the same thing, if they only find work for less amount, then he pays them only the lesser amount. Nimtza, so it comes out, imkain, if so. The difference between the case where they went by themselves to start the work, and the case where they didn't go yet, who kasher lo yhoyu maitzim emesh mishi yaskir esam, the gam ko'es ein lahem mishi yaskir esam. So it's only when they couldn't find yesterday. If it's only if they couldn't find yesterday, and they who would hire them, and they also now can't find someone who would hire them. Why? Because if they haven't left yet, to start the work, you didn't take a loss. Yesterday you couldn't find work, and today you couldn't find work. What's the difference?
Yeah, so he doesn't give him anything.
Right, avol im kvar holchu lahaslas hamalacha. But when they went to start the work, then already too bad. It doesn't make a difference that even yesterday there was no work, and even today there's no work. Mechoyev l'shalom lehem kepoel batel. Afal pishul egoram lehem nezik mamashi. Why? Kivon shalichasam nechsheves katzcholas aveda. It's like they started working already. V'hayo le'liv da'kedem, and he should have checked first. Sha'achin zakol kach shalapelim kidl kaman. Right? He should have checked. Like we'll talk more later. He should have checked that the taka needs the work. Hamshich Shulchan Aruch, the continuation of Shulchan Aruch, v'chol elu adinim kishaloi bikir bal habayis malachtim be'erev shehu b'pshiyosei. This is all when the balabas did not go to check to make sure. Avol im lo yehoisab pshiyas balabayis b'davar klal. But if he was not at fault at all in this thing, hariz honest. So it's considered a situation out of his control. V'niftar k'moishin is ba'er, and then he's putty. He doesn't have to pay them, like we said before.
Which is the case of Bikir. Bikir is a case of honest, because he went in before.
Yeah, I checked and everything was fine. Everything was set.
What more could he have done? He can't. He wasn't to know there was going to be a flood.
Flood or the lightning hit the stacks of hay and burnt them down. Whatever it was.
Yeah.
The roads got closed because it was snowstorm. I don't.
Right.
But he checked. He did his part.
Summary.
Top of page 20. Bamikre shebalabais mevatel es schirus apayel mach mas eines shemach mosa if shel lekaim es schirus kegoin iru abilti tzapoy, right? Something that's unforeseen. Kemeit unas drachim, right? So now he's bringing this into a more modern day context. That any eines that it's not his fault that he had to cancel the schirus, he's not chayiv. So, for example, and let's include anything unforeseen. Tunas drachim. Oh, yeah, sakas chashmal. This one I've seen myself. I witness. We had a warehouse, and we hired temp workers. And there was a chveis. It was stormy outside, and all the power cut off. You can't see nothing. You can't do nothing. Now, in this case, the balabas that I was working for, he paid those guys. He just paid them their full what they would have what do you call it, and took the loss. Part of that also they were not Yidden, so the Kiddush Hashem v'chulu. But generally speaking, halacha, you have these guys, the lights go off and you have to cancel. There's no power. The electric company says sorry, there's not going to be power for 2 days. You tell them, listen, guys, I'm sorry, but I have to cancel these 2 days and work. So then it's yiru ativi, or for example, a natural thing, like a shelig pisemi, a sudden snowstorm, a yisufa, or a storm, shadiv kavid, like a great heat. Patur melivtzei sapel al bitlas chiris. So he's patur from having to compensate the worker on canceling the work agreement. That's the base time. Similarly, in any case where the worker can find other work under the same conditions, Potter Balbais Muftsai, so too the Balabas is Potter from having, he does not have to compensate him. And he only has dissatisfaction that he now has to take the bother is to go find the other guy to work for. If it was not a situation outside of his control, for example, where he was negligent and he didn't check properly that he taka needs the work, and the worker from his end is unable to find another employer that will give him work with the same conditions. Al balabayis livteis es apayel al bit laschiris. So now the balabas has to compensate the worker for canceling the job. It's to pay him like a pale bottle, like a pale who's just like a worker who's just sitting idle. Or to give him the difference in amount. In the case that he could find another employer, but not with the same conditions. And this is all requires one of the following three conditions. Aleph also kinyan al schirus, right? Because now it's not dvarim ba'alma anymore. Beis hapayil kvar hitzchil b'malachte ubichlal zahalicha ala malacha, right? He already started the work, or he already went to the work, even if he didn't start the actual work, but he went there, which is considered already, like we said before. That's also, it's not considered, it's already considered atcholas hamalacha. So then also it's not dvarim ba'alma. Or ha'atoya shel balabayis gar malapayil lahavshir tzayim aveda. Right, that this trickery from the balabas caused him, the worker, to lose a day of work. Meaning, so that there has to be one of those three tanaim. And in that case, he has to pay him either like an idle worker, not like terach, not an idle worker, just an idle worker. Or he has to pay him. Alternatively, he has to pay him the difference between the work he could find now versus the work that they agreed on.
If they're able to,
yeah. If he's able to find if he's able to find such work, yeah. Right. If not, he has to pay him like
idle worker, right?
Bitul azmono shel monit. So now we're gonna bring this. What happens
service
on Uber, right? Al pia amr le'il, according to what we said before, misha hizmin monit. Oy hasa'a, right? He gets a taxi or a transport van or whatever. And afterwards he retracts. Obitel sanasi, and he cancels the trip. Im balaminit docha bigloli is has money sachiris. If the cab driver pushed off because of him other orders, and he can't find another traveler, another what do you call a guy who goes near the
A passenger.
Passenger, yeah. So chayiv l'shalom le'ischarik k'peil bottles. So he has to pay him like a peil bottle. V'zeis afilu im hanahag lehitchil adayin l'nseich l'kivunei. Even if the driver he didn't start driving there yet, right? So he didn't start driving to the work yet, but it doesn't make a difference. You caused him a loss because he lost other work. But this is when it wasn't because of an einus. Like he found a cheaper taxi, or he found a free tramp. Avol in bitl azmanu machmas einus. Right, so that those cases, meaning it's not an einus. So who cares? You found a cheaper driver. You made a deal with me. Same thing. You found a free tramp. You should have looked for your free tramp first. You shouldn't have called me then, because now I lost money from it. Avolim bitlas manu machmas eines. Kegain shalafesa eini chosh b'teiv. All of a sudden, doesn't feel good. Oy sheidiu lei al bitla inyan shalashmeis gavin l'nseya, or the whole thing that he was traveling to got canceled. So then he's allowed to cancel, and he does not need to pay him. If the balmonit, the cab driver, is able to find another passenger, right? But he already started traveling to the guy who put the order originally. And while he's traveling to him, bitel hamazmin sanasiya, the passenger canceled the trip while he's driving to him. So he traveled this amount for free. Chayav amazmin l'shalim lanog mechir mole ala derech she'as lechinam. You don't have to pay him for the whole way, but you have to pay him for the whole way that he traveled for nothing towards you. Meaning, had it been a 5-minute trip instead of the whole 10-minute trip for you, so you have to pay him for the 5-minute trip. Shaharei also melocha avori b'shlichusai, because he already did work for you in your shlichus. That part of the work is driving to you. Bitul has manish l'bal melacha. So now, how about the canceling an order of a craftsman? Misha hizmin tzalom, tazmures, right? A photographer, a band, chashmaloi,
A babysitter.
Like the chashmaloi is like, I think, the lighting guy. Means an electrician.
Electrician, no?
Means an electrician, but I think he means, I think in this
Yeah.
Electrician, yeah. The lighting guy, the lighting.
The lighting, yeah.
Oh, babysitter, okay, yitzibazeh. Ula'achim mikein reitzel batel es hazmanosi machmas einis. Kigoin she is batel hashiduch. There's no wedding to come to. Rashoy lachzer boy upoter milishalim. So b'derech klal, he can cancel the order, and he doesn't have to pay. Achal mashe kvar nasa bepeil avura azmanosi chayev l'shalim afilu she'ein an enemy klal. Right. For example, let's say the I don't know. He wanted specific backdrops or something, or by the band. The band already they already locked in a singer that's going to cost them money, or they already rented. They already paid money from Guitar Center for mixing boards and this and that and the other.
Or they laid out money for. They laid out money.
Or they rented a car, whatever it is. Yeah, they laid out money for it in some way. So it doesn't make a difference. The fact that he gets zero hana from it now. You ordered them, they laid out money. Now you have to cover them. What's So let's see. Oh, like a lecture, meaning you ordered for an event. You ordered a you invited somebody to speak, right? And now it comes out that the what do you call it? There's the place, the TSA something. The planes aren't flying. The event's canceled. But this guy already spent time. Not just that, he spends more time preparing what he's going to say than the time it takes to say it. So you have to, however they assess it, whatever it is, but you have to pay him for this time that he prepared the lecture. But if he wants to go back, not because of an einis, right? For example, they decide they want a different band. This was the case that Avkasimov brought up. No, they ordered a band. In the meantime, the other side also ordered a band, or something like this. That's kind of an in between case. So yesh lahavchin bein mikrim sherashay lechatchila lachsabei. So then we have to differentiate which case you can lechatchila go back on, which case is mikrim she'asur lachsabei mishum mechusar amona achpatim milashalim, which cases you don't have to compensate, but it's asur and you're mechusar amona. Oh, mikrim shemechuy b'tash kidlekamen. So there's three different. Again, he doesn't bring the case of the Mishpat, but it would seem that would be the case also here. If it's the type of job, the type of order that until you haven't paid the deposit fee, or given a credit card for security deposit for security, then neither side is obligated. Why? Because the minhag in this place, this is the kind of job that people always take it says it says to lock in the days. To lock in the day, you have to pay such and such a deposit. And then the Kali says, "What's happening?" He said, "No, I'm canceling." What do you mean? Yeah, what's it called here? He said, "Wait a second. You said that you lock in the day when I paid the deposit. I never paid a deposit, so I didn't lock in the day." So you can. It's mutal lechatchila to retract. Calls manchas manolei nisgiro. As long as we didn't close the deal, whatever closing the deal is considered for this kind of work in that time and place. But then once you give the deposit, now it's a ma'aseh kinyan. Which obligates him in some form of payment, depending on what the guy did and didn't do. But if it's the kind of work that it's usual to close on this on this kind of deal orally, right? That each person, each side, they rely on the other side with their verbal commitment. Then you can only go back on it if the Baal Melacha did not start the work and he did not start preparing for the work. And also that it doesn't cause him any loss. Meaning that he could find somebody else in his place. Furthermore, and basically there has to also be a there has to have been, it can't just be for no reason. There has to have been some kind of change in the either in the mitzius, in the facts on the ground, so to speak, like the situation, or the circumstances, that because of this he changed his is that he had to retract. But if there is no such change that happened, so l'chatchila, it is prohibited to retract and to change from what he agreed verbally. Because he's on. This makes him a lot untrustworthy. Even though he's not causing any actual loss. And Evis, which means he doesn't have to compensate him for any loss because there was none. But there's an isur in it. Like we said before, those that hold if the price changed. Those that hold that even if there was a change in the situation or the circumstances, that he's still a mechusar amona. However, when we're talking about a case where canceling the order causes a loss to the Bal Melacha, that he lost the ability to get another client, man that he could have in the meanwhile taken, and now he's left without because he didn't take it back then, the work. Now he's left without work now. Or the person doing the work either started the work or he started the preparations for the work. Not just that it is an issur to go back, but there's also a monetary loss. And he has to pay him like a pale bottle, and for sure also whatever losses he incurred, the physical losses he incurred. Hold on just 1 second. Okay, so now top of 22. Similarly, if we're talking about the type of order that you close through a kinyan, can gain to make a dima like giving either a deposit or a credit card number. Now we're not talking about it's not b'dvarim bilvad. Now you're talking about you made a kinyan. And he has to give him, if he cancels, he has to give him the payment like a pale bottle. The kayem mekubel bahar b'mekemis shaneisen to make a dimim reitze yochel lachzer bay ulahavs des meakdim. What if it's like nowadays in a lot of places, the way it works is I give you a deposit, and I can back out. Legally, I'm allowed to back out, but I lose, like that's the agreement, that I lose the deposit money. So then, and this minhag, it obligates both sides. Why? Because we all operate under this understanding. Right? Minhag is mechayiv sh'teatzaddim, right? Again, it all comes back to Aldas Ma was their deal. Right? When it's a case of Stam, what was Aldas, the people? So being that this is the common minhag, so we can assume that there was Aldas this minhag. That if you can back out, but I keep your deposit and you go. But I get your deposit. But you're not obligated anymore. Meaning, so in such a case, the one who canceled, he's not obligated in an additional payment, and more than the deposit that he already paid. At the same time, but he also cannot demand back his deposit because that's the deal.
That's why they all take deposits nowadays, because that's non-refundable.
Right. But the general thing is, and the truth is sometimes not. Like if you look on Airbnb, right? there's different, but it depends on how what the agreement is for the property. Some of them there's a free cancellation until such a date. After such a date, you lose X amount of money, you get the rest back. Some it's you prepay it, but if you cancel, you get the rest back. Some you don't even have to prepay; you only prepay the deposit amount. It's different. So listen, in those cases, it's clear because it always goes according to the contract.
Yeah, they have to honor the contract.
But the norm in this kind of business is you lose the deposit and you lose the deposit. The canceling the rental of a vehicle or equipment. This also works from a metaltalin. This everything we've said before. Mishum kach, therefore, if somebody rents he orders a car rental, or like I guess like a PA system for an event. And after this, and now he wants to cancel. If you already gave down payment money or credit card details, or he already took possession of it, he cannot go back on it. So he has to give like a schar bottle, pale bottle. Which I think he's going to explain it. Or whatever the agreement is, whatever is accepted with that company, that what the fee you pay when you cancel an order. And indeed, there are companies, right? For example, with Hertz, with Hertz, especially when you went like to say AAA, something like on the AAA plan or whatever it is, or if you have like the President's Circle, etc. You don't what's it called? If you cancel, you don't pay anything, and in fact, you don't even have to cancel ahead. You just don't show up, and after a certain amount of time, they cancel it, and you're not chayiv anything. But that's fine because that's the understanding there. And so too in the case where we're canceling the order causes causes a loss to the renter. Basically, he could have rented to somebody else. Okay, and now today he doesn't. If he would have found back then, he could have found somebody to rent this thing. But now he can't find anymore. Then, since he's taking a loss, even though it's balpeh and without a kinyan, you have to give him the amount that a person would be willing to take to just for his machine to sit there unused. How do you figure out what the schar of a pale bottle when it comes to an object? Who it's less than the full price. Meaning, what if you were just paying him to hold it for a day and you're not going to use it? So how much less would he charge you? By the way, it could be nothing, because if he had other people who could rent it out, why would he want to sit there? Yeah. A worker goes back on his.
I can't. I have to stop here.
Okay, good. So that's good. So let's stop here.
So let's stop here, and then Mitzvah Hashem.
I'm good for the morning, Mitzvah Hashem.
Okay, so then what time do we?
So I think we'll finish this in the beginning, and then we'll move on to inside. Yeah.
Okay, what time we want to do tomorrow? 10 o'clock or what?
10 o'clock is good for me. It works out. Real quick, 10 o'clock is good for you?
That's fine with me.
Hey,
okay, fine.
Chazan Junior?
Yeah, Junior. Yeah, I will push off my meetings from 10 o'clock to later. I'll be there 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Thank you. Very good then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you again.
We'll see you all by Seder Baker.
Yeah. By the way, I'm en route now to the Smicha, the next Lamani class.
Well, Baruch Hashem, it should be. You put your hands your whole life to be like this.
Amen.
So sein, the pasuk kommen mit Gilse.
I literally have the thing in my hand. I'm walking to the kollel now.